People love to argue with me on this online, especially when I post about it on Twitter or LinkedIn. After helping over 30 Shopify stores, 2 to 3, even 5x organic search traffic and revenue with SEO in the past 2 years, I honestly do think technical SEO is a waste of time for 99% of Shopify stores out there. Out of the 3, it's definitely the most overrated aspect of SEO, especially when you compare it to the big needle movers like on-page and off-page SEO. All that being said, I do think there are 4 key technical fixes that are actually worth your time. And these 4 are mobile optimization, crawlability, indexing, and fixing broken links. When we onboard a new brand at our agency, or when I consult with a brand or whatever, we tackle and get these technical optimizations out of the way in just under a week, honestly, sometimes as little as a few hours. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over those 4 and also speaking a little bit more on some of the other small technical tweaks you can make in between those if you have the extra time and resources to do so. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Cromwell. I run Newsies. We're an e-commerce SEO agency that helps Shopify stores in the 7, 8, and 9-figure range increase their organic search revenue and, of course, traffic with SEO. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, mobile optimization. In 2024, this year, and next year, you're going to be even higher. Approximately 2/3 of all Google searches happen on mobile devices. And if that wasn't enough, more importantly, Google uses mobile first indexing when they crawl your site or when they index your site. Google actually views your mobile site rather than your desktop site. And I think a lot of people forget this when they're actually like designing their Shopify store, right? They design it on their laptop or their desktop or whatever, and they always forget to check what it looks like on mobile. Shopify and most of the CMS platforms do a pretty good job of optimizing your store on both mobile and desktop with reactive themes. Okay, that's like the whole selling point of all these modern CMS platforms. However, there still are a few things to consider. The first and probably the most important one, I would say, is image size. You've probably heard that you should compress your images before adding them to your site, and WebP formats are usually the best file format because of their small size. This will keep your page speed from skyrocketing to like the 4 or 5 second load time range. Generally, the best practice is to reduce the size of the image to the maximum size required, or they can use SERSet to selectively show different image sizes based on that device that the user is actually viewing it from. That is an HTML image attribute that specifies the image size to use in different browser resolutions. Okay, so like I'm on my desktop or I'm on my laptop, and like one image size would serve for that, another image size would serve if I'm looking at the same page on my phone. Basically, we're talking about responsive images. Okay, same thing with like responsive themes or reactive themes, however you want to think about it. To implement this HTML attribute, you may need a developer. Again, most Shopify stores are pretty good at it, but if you're seeing any mobile issues, a developer is probably a good idea to sort yourself out. In addition to image sizes, another issue I see a lot of stores have, especially on collection pages, is a long collection description above the product grid. I am a huge advocate that you need text-based content on your collection page in order to rank. Adding text-based content gives Google more like context about what the page is actually about, which is going to help you rank higher. You should not just write a long collection description at the expense or the sake of your user experience. Imagine a, let's say 750 words collection description above your product grid. That's going to be a terrible user experience, especially on mobile. Okay, users are going to have to scroll past 750 words before they even get to the product grid. When I've looked at so many pages on the internet, when I see a page like that, I just go to the next one because I know I can click back and then find a new link that's going to serve me a product grid more quickly. Users are not going to scroll down that far. Okay, they have such little patience and such small attention spans. They are not going to scroll through, much less read the 750 words seated above the product grid. There 2 ways to solve this. You can use a collapsible / accordion style read more or learn more type button that essentially expands and collapses the text when a user clicks on it so you can hide it or view it. This keeps the product grid high up on the page above the fold. What you could also do is you could use the split me or like rich text function depending on which kind of theme you have, and you can essentially split your collection description above and below the product grid. Okay, so for 750 words, perhaps you do like 50 to 100 words at the top, then you do the remaining, what is that, 6 to 650 words at the bottom. Check out my video on collection page optimization. It's linked in the description below. That'll give you tons of ideas on how to do it. Lastly, for mobile optimization, just do a quick test on your own phone to make sure your things are looking decent from a user experience or standpoint. Okay, if you spent hours designing your Shopify site, chances are you stared at it nonstop on a laptop. I guarantee you probably didn't even check your phone. Just pull out your phone and check it. It's going to take you a few minutes and it's going to save you a lot of stress. I will say most people just skip it out of laziness or they forget. So this is your reminder to do that. Next thing, on crawlability. That is the ability of a search engine to look up your website really and essentially crawl through its content. Without being able to crawl your site properly, you will struggle to rank and drive traffic organically through Google or any other search engine. The best way to essentially view your website's crawlability or health or however you think about that is to actually just run a crawl yourself, okay? And identifying and addressing, of course, any potential issues that may be present. I'd say broken links are probably the biggest one you're gonna find and probably the one you think is not going to be an issue, and almost always we find broken links on every single site. So I would encourage you to do that. You can use tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush. Those are on the higher end of pricing. If you're new, I would check out like clicks.so, which is like $25 a month. Screaming Frog is free, up to 500 crawled URLs, and I think Sitebulb is free, maybe on unlimited URLs. I mean, it might be 1,000, but don't quote me on that. But Sitebulb is a good one too. It's all in your browser, and Screaming Frog is like a desktop application. You actually have to download that. Whatever you use, totally up to you. Once it crawls over, it'll take, if your site is like under 500 to 1,000 pages, it'll take just a few minutes to crawl the entire site. Just simply review it and fix any outstanding issues that are present. Tools like Sitebulb, Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, Clicks will all tell you why this issue is an issue and how you should fix it, and also kind of the urgency of the issue. I think Ahrefs and SEMrush kind of like prioritize the warnings versus errors. You can kind of gauge what you should do, when you should do it, and if you should do it at all. That is that. Screaming Frog is, I would say, a far more technical platform. It will definitely not give you the same level of information. However, you can just like copy the error or the warning or whatever, paste it into Google, and then figure out what it is, if it's important, and operate from there. If you're working with a lot of sites all the time, like an agency owner, freelancer, consultant, whatever, I would definitely get Screaming Frog. I think it's worth having it. The paid plan is pretty expensive, but if you're going to be doing it a lot, it's for sure worth your time. The most common things you'll find, we've already talked about broken links, surely, which are like just links that are likely maybe the URL's renamed or deleted products, out of stock products, collections, whatever. Okay. The other ones you'll find are URLs with similar content. In Shopify, these will stem from product variants. URLs with duplicated H1s also going to be a result of product variants or automatically generated tags. Like tagged pages. It's like URLs would be like blog/tag or product/tag. Also have internal redirected URLs. If you set up an internal 301, like you're essentially creating the start of a 301 chain in your own site, just go back to the original source page and change the URL. There's no need to just keep stacking up 301s within your own site. Let's get into next kind of into broken links and a little bit more on the 301 piece, right? Broken links, 404 status code. They are links on a website, whether it's yours or another site, that lead to web pages that do not exist anymore or have been removed without proper redirection. There's a few reasons they can affect site performance, but quite frankly, like if you're a user and you land on a broken page, that's not a good look. I'm sure you've done it. It's on some website at some point in your life, and you just had to hit back and you had to figure out where you're going next, right? If you're selling products online, this is like, I would say it's a coin flip on whether they even bother to keep staying on your site. I would say, honestly, it's probably above 50% that they leave your site. So you want to keep broken links. You want to keep your site super healthy, no broken links. User experience is seamless from time they land to the time they check out. They also, from an SEO kind of perspective, they reduce SEO performance. Because like if you have like, let's say 50 links or whatever, Google's be like, all right, well, like this site is clearly not very hygienic, if you will. Like they have a bunch of broken links. Like why would we reward their other pages? Another thing too, like even more technical than that, they waste crawl budget, right? Like imagine a Google bot crawling through your site like a spider web, okay? And essentially if they got to a 404 page, that'd be like the equivalent of reaching a piece of the web that does not exist. So they just get to the web and turn around. They are wasting resources and therefore wasting your crawl budget. So they're going to crawl less of your site. I think broken links are like the highest ROI technical SEO activity you can do, outside of like making sure your page is indexed properly, which we'll get into. So I know I've said it a few times, and I'm harping on it, but you've got to take care of broken links. To find them, again, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, Sitebulb, Clicks. I'm sure there's other ones out there. You can also check the coverage report on Google Search Console to detect 404 errors. A couple things you can do to fix these, okay? If it's an internal page and it still exists, but you just change the URL, just go to the source URL, change the target URL to the correct URL. Don't just set up a redirect, okay? A redirect is lazy in your own site if you can access the original page. If you got if you wanted a 301 page that like never existed, like that's one thing, okay? But if you just change the URL name, you should access the source page, change the target URL to the actual live page you wanted to. Don't just like always use the 301 redirect as a crutch. The other thing you notice like in Shopify is when if the product goes out of stock and you like archive it or take it offline, that's going to turn into a 404. Same thing with a collection if you archive it, a blog post if you archive it. If you're going to do that, make sure you set up a 301 to go to another relevant page. Okay, don't just parent 301 to the home page. If you have a product out of stock, I'd probably recommend throwing it to the parent collection. That's what I would do. Other thing to know too is if you try to set up a 301 redirect for a product that is not yet archived, the 301 actually will not take place. And this is a Shopify specific, I don't want to call it an issue, but just a thing. So if you know a product's going to go out of stock, what you could do is set up 301 first, product then goes out of stock, then you archive it, 301 is automatically in place. There's no gap in time there, okay? Lastly, proper indexing, okay? So let's kind of break down the difference between crawling and indexing. Okay, so crawling is the first piece of the puzzle. Okay, it is the discovery process of pages and links on your website handled by Google bots or another search engine. Okay, the links, like I said, my spiderweb analogy, essentially connect the dots for these bots between pages, images, things like that. The indexing your site is what happens post crawl. It's the process of Google or another like Bing or whoever storing, analyzing, organizing the content of your site based on the crawl and the connections of those pages. Not every page on your site will be indexed. That is a common misconception. You do not want every page indexed, okay? You for sure don't want your cart page, your checkout page, your customer portal page, anything like that, just available to people just access right away. Shopify handles a lot of these pretty well. There's like their robots.txt. I think actually they don't have a robots.txt set up, but I think by default those pages are blocked essentially from being like they're no indexed. But essentially, if your pages are no indexed, they are invisible to search engines. Okay, they're not going to. I shouldn't say they're invisible, but they're not. They're invisible to users more so than they search engines, right? Search engines will crawl them, see the no index tag, like okay, well now we cannot show it to users. Okay, so users won't technically see it. So if it's no index, no traffic, organic traffic at least. Okay, you can theoretically still run like paid ads or email traffic to a no index page. So if you're experimenting with like any like landing pages or whatever, like you can mark those as no index if you want and still hammer them with Google ads or meta ads or whatever. Totally fine. We do that all the time. A couple ways to make sure your site is indexed properly. Set up Google Search Console. Okay, Search Console is probably going to be your best friend as an SEO. So when you set up Search Console and connect to your site, submit your sitemap, go from there. Okay, Shopify, every single sitemap on Shopify will be yourdomain.com/sitemap.xml. Okay, and you can access your sitemap. And Shopify's actually got sub sitemaps for like blogs, products, collections. I'm sure there's one other thing that I'm missing off the top of my head, but you could see like the sub sitemaps as well. Next thing is your robots.txt file. So like I said, Shopify sets up a few pages as no index, but it does not set you up with a robots.txt file. This is a super easy setup. Just Google how to do it. Set up robots.txt Shopify. Tons of free guides out there. Super easy. It'll tell you which pages not to index and why. You want to make sure you're not blocking like products, collections, blog posts, homepage, of course, anything like that. You want all those to be indexable so you can actually get traffic through them. If you have like a marketplace style site, like 5,000, 10,000 products, let's say on your Shopify store, you actually probably don't need all 5,000 to 10,000 products indexed. As funny as that may sound, you could actually probably like restrict the indexing to your top, let's say 1,000 products, like top performing so far in SEO, and just and then put all of the SEO emphasis on your collection pages. If you've got 10,000 products, it's probably like you're going to have like, I'd say at least 100, maybe less, maybe like 50 to 150 collections. Those are the pages you want to index because those are the pages you're probably going to rank and are probably going to end up bringing in customers that are actually going to spend money on your store. Other thing too is site structure. You want to make sure you have categories, subcategories, and make sure they're all internally linked between each other. Make sure your blogs are internally linked with each other. Okay, like this is going to help connect the dots. Like that is where that saying comes from for Google. Okay, make sure you have original high quality content on your site. I know that's a pretty obvious thing to say in SEO, but it's true. And regularly updating your content, and I don't mean like every day or every week even, but like once a month if you want to update like a blog post with something more relevant. Do that. Updating content regularly will mean Google is going to crawl your site more regularly and your index will be as up to date as it possibly can. Pretty much gone through the main needle movers when it comes to technical SEO for Shopify store, and there's only 4 of them, all right? Majority of these changes can be implemented in a matter of hours, if not a couple of days for most brands, even if you don't have much technical SEO experience. I personally don't recommend spending more time on technical SEO beyond these 4 factors outside of regular recurring crawls, okay? If you subscribe to SEMrush or Clicks or whatever, or even Screaming Frog or Sitebulb, just set a reminder once a week to run a crawl. If you're doing things right, you won't have any issues the next week or the week thereafter, okay? But sometimes issues happen, you want to fix those. The most common one that you're going to see regularly show up is a broken link. Just fix it and move on, okay? It's 1 or 2 broken links a week is not going to be the end of your business, all right? But I do honestly believe content and links are the biggest driver and biggest needle mover for SEO. Also made a full 38-point on-page SEO checklist to help Shopify stores rank on Google. I highly recommend you go check it out to watch it for some big SEO gains for your site. Find the link in the description below. Truly, that video, the 38 points are going to be more valuable than any other time you spend on technical SEO. Okay. Make sure to follow me and connect on Twitter and LinkedIn. I share new findings and strategies daily that are working for our clients, both at the agency and at my most recent launch of my 5-hour SEO community. Okay, that 5-hour SEO course/community goes more in depth on how we're able to add thousands of dollars to our clients' MRR consistently. Check the link in the description for that. And if you are a brand doing 100 to 150K a month or more, and you're looking to get off the paid ads hamster wheel and make 2 to 3x more via your organic search revenue channel, make sure to book a free discovery call with me. You can find the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.